Moto Academy, we're in England. I'm here with Zane, and he's basically just made me look bad in the last video that came out. So we're gonna give you a slightly more technical section. And the way this video is gonna work, I'm gonna let you hit it without telling you anything. Hit it how you would hit it. We're gonna focus on up over the roller. So entry, setup to this corner, right-hander, and then kind of see what your setup looks like going into the left-hander exiting. Are you one of the faster 16-year-olds maybe in the UK-ish?
Yeah.
Said that with confidence, I like it. Pretty high level, which means that the video today might be slightly more nuanced and complex, but not really. I think you guys will find that it's still very much the same information that I'd teach a lower level, less experienced rider. Okay, do it how you would, 3 attempts. Let's see if we can make it a little better. Yeah, so his default, I think, is just too aggressive almost, right? So it's kind of same thing. Closed himself off for corner, kind of, I'd say he should be the rut inside of where he was, but we'll see. Let's see the next two. He'll probably experiment a little bit. I'm thinking. Let's see if he does anything different this time. He had the right idea in the third one. He tried a couple of things that he liked. He didn't jump the roller, which I liked, so he tried to set the entry up a little better. And he didn't hit the rear brake before the left-hander, which is both two things I was going to tell him to try. All right, mate, which of the three?
Second one.
Second one, okay. What didn't you like about the third one? You tried a couple different things. What did you try different in the third one?
Gear higher. Well, not gear higher, but I come in slower, I think.
Yeah.
And then I clutched it a bit.
So what I was going to tell you that I'd like you to try next time is I don't love the slam into the bank just because it sets you up so tight for this turn. I think you'd be better off trying to get a little bit more wheel chatter, proper braking going up the roller, and just see if we can't get a little bit better angle so we could come this way instead of this way.
Yeah.
Yes, you're gonna lose a little bit of time right there, but where I think you're gonna gain the time that's important is right here. Right, and right, if you gain time right here, you're gonna naturally gain it on the mid corner and exit. So again, it's never a guarantee that these things will be better, but it's always worth experimenting. So more wheel chatter coming up, try to create more out to in angle. Your goal is to not catch air on the roller. You're kind of jumping it into the bank, right? So your goal is to not catch air on the roller so we can try to come down way more riders left. I would love if you can go inside rut here instead of outside rut. And then what you tried in the left-hand corner after this, in the last one, do you know what you did?
Sort of, well, not really.
You didn't do rear brake last one. So you obviously didn't do that intentionally, but the first two, you hit the rear brake and stabbed at it quickly before you did the left-hander, and it just seemed like a waste of time, like it wasn't necessary. The last one, you didn't hit rear brake. Now, you didn't steer as much with the rear as you needed to. It looked like at the end, you kind of slammed the embankment harder than you wanted to.
Yeah.
Is that right? Mm-hmm. I couldn't really see, but that's sort of what I just saw your head kind of do this a little bit. So no rear brake, it just means you might have to get on the throttle earlier and a little harder a little earlier so you can steer better. You still can use the embankment, but you don't want to slap into it. So third one was the best out of those three by far. I think that's got a high ceiling. This was way better. This was way better. He's getting used to the steering. You could tell the bike lightened up halfway through the left-hander and it kind of skated a little bit. So that was lack of pressure on the outside foot too. This thing smells kind of nice. So which of those three?
Third one again.
Third one. Yeah, first one you really just kind of eyed it up. Second one, you were still sort of feeling it out a little bit. So let's break it into 3 parts. Over the roller, first part. Does that line have potential, or is it just a little bit too difficult to set it up on going up the hill?
I don't think it's as fast, but yeah, it's a lot easier coming into this turn when you're going slow over this roller.
But you think you're just losing too much time there to make that justified?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Now what about this turn, inside versus outside?
I feel like outside I can carry more speed, but the inside's good as well.
What about the no brake and the left-hander at the end?
Yeah, that's a lot better.
That's better.
Yeah.
That just takes commitment. And I noticed too that you're staring at the bank a little bit because you're so worried about slamming into it, kind of the way you did the first time. So the easiest way to get around there is as soon as you get clearance and can see around that, because that grass embankment on the inside is blocking your view until you start to go up. When you start to go up, as soon as you can get that vantage point to see the takeoff, you got to physically turn your head and look that way. Because when you're steering with the rear, it's very strange at first because it's easy to be like, uh-oh, don't go here, don't go here, don't go here. And next thing you know, you just slam into exactly where you don't want to go. Really have to weight the outside foot. The second one in this right-hander, you sat and you just did this. So that means all the weight was in your butt. The third one, I think, or maybe it was the second one also, in the left-hander, you had a nice drift going and then it actually scooted out a little too far midway through, and that was because your suspension unloaded a bit as you crested the top and you didn't have enough weight into the outside foot. And so outside pressure in this situation, just to clarify, is not to try and get more bite, like sometimes it can help with. It's to relieve pressure off of his butt in this corner. So that way when he hits the little bumps, if he hits the bumps, his butt can just let the bike go out from under him and come back gently instead of just being like this. Now in the left-hand part, the pressure being applied down is to try and get that suspension to bite more. So you're going down to second for the right-hander, right?
Yeah.
What you're doing wrong is you're leaving in second as you start to scream around the left-hander, and then you're kind of shifting mid-corner. Next time, as soon as you come out of the right-hander, go up to third and do that drift in third the whole time. My theory would be that you were just afraid to carry the speed around the corner without stabbing at the rear brake. So now you just got to get a little bit better at steering with the rear. You ride like how I do maybe, where you rely on a lot of front end traction and you don't go kind of Villapoto style and let the bike steer with the rear as much. But it's a situation like that where you can. No need to stab the rear brake there. But absolutely you've got to be in third gear. That second gear around that corner did not make any sense. You look good. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. Ethan, you know what I'll say before we sign off of this video? If you guys want to ride like Ethan, you can get inside the Moto Academy app. That's it. Get in the app. Toodles.